Jesus Christ, where the hell is my fence? 200 feet of cedar just gone, like someone hit undo on a life I was building for my wife, and I'm standing barefoot in the driveway at 6 in the morning, gravel biting my soles, rosemary crushed under a tractor's tire, diesel fumes in my throat. This is how the whole thing started, and if you think I'm exaggerating, stick with me. It only gets stranger. Let me back up a sec. My name's Devin Harlow, I'm 48, retired structural engineer, widower, and I moved out to Pinewood Trails to find a quiet place to grieve, not a war zone. Mara, my wife, sketched gardens in a battered journal while she fought cancer, and 3 weeks before she died she drew a fence, a rose trellis, a little herb spiral where she wanted to grow heirloom tomatoes. I built that fence for her, tongue-and-groove cedar, paid for it with what felt like the last polite decisions of grief, 8 feet inside my property line, permits approved, surveyor signed, because I measure, I don't guess. So when I come home on August 15th to find 15 feet gouged through the rosemary bed, fence posts ripped like teeth pulled from gums, and a bobcat trail graded perfectly 15 feet wide, I know what that corridor is designed for, and it's not roses. The invoice shows up 2 days later, emergency abatement and disposal for $1,200, and taped to my mailbox is a notice from the HOA, Emergency Easement Enforcement. Access violation. Vin Caldwell, HOA President. Her heels click behind me like a metronome of entitlement, white Lexus idling, arms crossed, that practiced smile, the kind that says you are in the way of her plan. You know the type, charming emails full of blessings, then a thinly veiled threat about property values. Bryn's been HOA president 6 years, owns rental properties she bought from neighbors under pressure, married to Garrett, the HOA attorney, conflict of interest obvious as a neon sign. She'd cited my neighbor Phyllis once because Phyllis's bird feeder was beige instead of tan. Beige not tan, can you believe that? So when she told me she had an emergency easement, my engineer brain went and checked the covenants 3 times. There is no easement. Not in any filing, not in any amendment. So why did she grade a road through my wife's rosemary garden at dawn? I built a case like I'd build a bridge, step by step, sound and over-engineered. I paid $18 for certified county copies at the recorder's office, got my surveyor to swear the fence is 8 feet inside my line, pulled security footage time-stamped at 5:58 a.m. showing Bryn directing 3 guys with bolt cutters while she supervised like a foreman. At the HOA meeting that Thursday, I walked in with a binder thick as my fist, evidence stacked, the room buzzing with burnt coffee and fluorescent lights. She tried it, the manufactured authority routine, sweet voice. We're addressing unpermitted structures. Garrett poised like a man billing by the second. I slid the covenant copies across the board table, showed the video, watched faces go from neutral to embarrassed to angry. One by one, board members realized Bryn had acted solo, that she'd ordered demolition and invoiced me for it without any board authorization. Luther the mechanic, of all people, stood and said he'd reimburse me. Fence cost, invoice cost, 4-1 the motion passed. Bryn left red-faced and hot, saying, "This isn't over," heels slapping linoleum. I thought that would be the reset. People like Bryn blink and move on, but she doubled down hard. A lien hits my title 3 weeks later, $18,750 in unpaid HOA assessments, dating back to 2019, filed by Garrett Caldwell. My insurance company calls, my credit score takes a hit. Simone Park, a lawyer Luther recommended, calls it textbook retaliation, fraudulent lien, conflict of interest, and she files an ethics complaint with the state bar against Garrett. That buys U.S. air, but doesn't fix the immediate problem. Harassment escalates. Neighbors call, stories flood in. The Hendersons lost their home after a $200 late fee ballooned into thousands. Kesha was forced to repaint her house because Bryn said the beige didn't match tan. A veteran, Marcus, was fined $2,400 for a flagpole. Patterns emerge. Isolation, pressure, small fines that compound until people cave. Dylan, a kid who won't be named for his safety, shows up at my gate one night with a folder, sworn affidavits, emails, screenshots. Proof that Bryn had targeted other lots along the southern border, same scheme, same playbook. That's our twist. This isn't personal me against her drama. It's a 4-year campaign, and I wasn't the first target. Then I find the motive, the real one. Late night digging and planning records, variance applications, denied requests. Bryn has repeatedly tried to rezone a 40-acre county parcel behind my lot for dense housing, and each denial points to one thing: no legal access. County code requires a proper access road for development. Bryn needs a road, and the quickest way was to manufacture one through my property. That pre-dawn Bobcat corridor? That was her prototype of a road. She'd been trying to securitize the land for years, calling the owner every few months with lowball offers, pushing and pressuring. The 15-foot channel wasn't about safety, it was about access. By then I'd lost work. Contractors were told not to hire me. Garrett's firm blackballed me. My consulting income dwindled. Vandalism follows. Mailbox bashed, nails across the driveway. 2 tires punctured. Biscuit, my cat, disappears for 36 hours and then returns muddy and hungry. Trevor Caldwell, Bryn's son, is caught on camera in my yard at night. Mom said make his life hell. Audio picks up. It's a campaign to break me. They assume I'll fold. But here's the thing. When you live through loss, you learn endurance in tiny increments. You keep showing up. So we organize. I call Simone, I call neighbors. I call Luther and Marcus and Phyllis and Kesha. We form a ragged, stubborn group, 11 of us at first, people Bryn had bruised. We pool what we can. We form Pinewood Community Land Trust LLC. We approach the 40-acre owner, Wallace Drummond, a 73-year-old retired dentist with stage 4 pancreatic cancer who'd gotten lowball offers after lowball offers from Bryn. He wants the land sold to someone who won't develop it. He wants it to matter, to not be a pawn in someone else's scheme. We come together, Mara's life insurance, Cass's grad school savings, neighbor pledges, Simone chipping in the last gap, and we close. 2 weeks later, we record a conservation easement the same day the deed transfers. Irrevocable, recorded, permanent. The land is locked forever as wild space and community garden, a buffer that kills Bryn's development and, more importantly, her access. And then comes the part where the community shows its backbone. We mobilize a quorum strategy against a last-minute Proposition 7, an emergency bylaw amendment Bryn mails to every house meant to give the board the power to force easements across private property. Her tactic, get enough homeowners to vote, circumvent individual rights. Our tactic, show up, sit, and walk out when she calls the vote, kill the quorum. 67 of us file in, sit in the back, and when she asks for hands, we stand and walk out. No argument, no slander, just shoes on linoleum and a closing door. Quorum fails, Proposition 7 dies. The variance hearing at county planning is beautiful in its plainness. I show up early with my binder. Patricia Smith, the planning director, reads the record, and then, like a mic drop, reads that parcel transferred to Pinewood Community Land Trust and is under recorded conservation easement. Bryn collapses. On the record, she admits to developer deposits, pre-sold units, and a $500,000 forfeit if she can't deliver. She runs, literally runs from the hearing, heels clicking, portfolio underarm, and the room smells like vindication. Garrett gets an ethics probe. Bryn sells rental properties at a loss, and the HOA board collapses into a reshuffle that actually serves people instead of tramples them. We break ground on the Mara Harlow Memorial Conservation Area in November. 40 acres forever wild, community garden plots, a 2.5-mile trail loop, native plant restoration, and a scholarship fund in Mara's name. The garden plots feed the food bank, high school kids build trails for service hours, Phyllis grows tomatoes at wheelchair height, and Marcus donates produce every harvest. The small victories become a movement. Other towns call, lawyers ask for notes, and my consulting work comes back because, apparently, people like a hero who reads property law and doesn't go quietly. So yeah, the satisfying scene. Not a courtroom melodrama, but an afternoon with children in the grass, a sign we raised, and a memorial plaque where roses now climb the cedar fence Mara never lived to see fully bloom. That felt like justice. But here's the sticky part one want you to chew on. How many Bryns are out there, assuming you'll be worn down, assuming silence will win? HOAs and committees can be tools for good, or they can become instruments for greed if nobody checks them. And too often, neighbors assume resistance is futile. Have you ever had a Karen on your board, someone who weaponizes bylaws and paperwork to bully another neighbor? Did you fold, fight, or organize? Drop your story below. Tell me what state you're in, what worked, what didn't. If you want a short checklist, here's the one I wish I'd had at the beginning. Document everything, get certified copies, timestamp footage, file quick ethics or complaint motions to freeze retaliatory moves, organize neighbors before the vote, and consider creative ownership options. Like a land trust, when development is the real target. If you like this, share it, because sometimes the difference between losing and winning is a story loud enough to rally people. And hey, If you want to see what happens when an HOA tries to ban a veteran's service dog and learns federal law the hard way, that's next week. Tell me, is it just me, or did we do the right thing by buying that land and locking it forever? Justice, revenge, practicality, where do you draw the line? Sound off below.